Men refusing to attend singles mixers, I believe, isn't going to change anytime soon. For example, the last video that I just released of 80 women fighting over 10 men at the singles mixer in Charlotte, which a lot of people were saying it was Kendra G's event. I didn't want to focus on that because I couldn't confirm that. But I could immediately notice, because the chick, right after explaining the whole situation and experience, she said, "What are we going to do about it?" She wasn't talking to a small group of people. She was talking to every person who owns a TikTok account. So she views the general public of women as being able to help them solve their problem of being single, of not being able to attract a man, right? And I look at that, I'm like, man, you guys think that you're all in this together. You're not competing against each other. The smart chicks are making sure they give those men what they want, and they're viewing the next woman as competition, nothing more. They're viewing them as competition. But the whole sisterhood has had every one of these chicks so confused and not viewing each other as competition. You are in competition. And she said, I don't want to compete. Right? One of them said, I don't want to compete. I don't want to feel like I'm competing with a man. It's too bad. You are. I saw a few of these comments. Some of these comments were hilarious. This person said, she dismisses all the men due to height, but will shame men for dismissing women based on weight. Crazy. With the laughing emojis. Yeah, there were some big backs in that interview. We saw that. I didn't stay on that point, but we all saw that with our own two eyes. You're the bad guy, right? I'm the bad guy for getting online and saying, I see a big back. How dare you? How dare you for pointing out that you see a big back? But they can sit there and say, no one was over 6 foot, and I'm not going to sit there and get chose by some guy who's under 6 foot. It's insane. This next commenter here says, it's gone from a sausage fest to a sushi fest. I thought that was hilarious. I like that comment. Yeah. I was trying to explain this to a chick who I was talking to, actually a female family member. And they were telling me, because I was saying, listen, they've flipped it all upside down. Women used to do the choosing. What do I mean? A woman typically chooses who she allows to give her energy, right? If a woman's not feeling you, she's not going to make eye contact. She's not going to show signals. She's not going to choose you. And now in that situation, they flipped it to when the 10 men were coming out and choosing from the 80 women, taking them into the room and dating them. And that's not a situation that most guys are usually in. And whose fault is that at the end of the day? Like, this is where feminism and everything has gotten us. You're now an involuntary pick-me. You didn't even know you were walking into a pick-me situation. But pick-me's get picked. This other commenter says, shaming men about height while being 200 plus is wild. I wonder what the chicks would say in response to that, man. It's just so interesting. I get that you want somebody tall. We all want to be rich. At least most people want to be rich. Doesn't mean that you're going to have it. There has to be a point at which this eventually makes sense to the majority of these chicks, that you can't sit there and be offended when someone calls you a fatty when you're judging other people for not being tall enough to meet your standards. I guarantee you, even right now as I speak, there's somebody, a chick, who's highly offended. This commenter says, bro, I literally just put some food in my mouth. Then you said there's some big backs in there, almost choked. Somebody else here added, she shamed all of them for being under 5'9", but all 85 of the women are beautiful. I don't think these chicks even listen to themselves when they talk. Like, I don't think they do. There's no way. Goes on to say, nah, let's bring up everybody's flaws. Being 5'9" is not a flaw. Gentlemen, I'm here to let you know, being 5'9" is not a flaw, right? So please don't let these chicks out here convince you that. If that's a flaw, then most men in America are flawed. And while feminists would love that statement when it comes to height, and they think they all deserve men who are 6 foot while they still remain fat as hell, does not mean that they are right. They're simply just delusional. So do not believe that, bro. It's craziness. Somebody else here says, she said 85 beautiful women. Another person here says, gentlemen, my hat's off to you. Cheers to self-respect. Last comment here says, I went to one of these speed dating events with my boys as a joke, right? And when I tell you that we are the prize. Believe it. We were in our late 20s and we are nothing special height wise or looks wise. But we had women absolutely swarming on us trying to get our attention. He goes on to say the women in their 40s were like pit bulls. Damn. The women in their 30s were trying not to look as desperate. That makes sense. This just made the whole situation more believable. That makes sense. Because as you can imagine, women in their 40s, they're not wasting as much time. Like it's always the women in their 40s who you see turning around and saying, don't make the same mistake I made. Don't do what I did. And the mid 20s women were sitting down, still thinking we were going to walk up to them like Prince Charming. LOL. Yeah, that's interesting. Have you guys ever attended a mixer? Comment down below. If you did, I'm sure they can't all be bad. I'm sure there's times when a single mixer is done the right way. The other thing I thought about is women don't attend clubs in mass for the same reason men do not attend singles mixers in mass. The chances that a woman is desperate for sex to the point where she has to go to a club is very rare. Because let's be honest, most people are at clubs, and if you look at just who they are, regardless of gender, most people at clubs are trying to get laid if they're not just there to dance and have fun, right? They're trying to hook up with somebody. Most women who go to singles mixers are looking for a relationship. And we know that the average guy isn't that desperate for a relationship today because this is modern women we're talking about today. We know that majority of them are going to think a certain type of way. They're going to be too entitled. They're not going to value a man too much. Their expectations are going to be delusional. And so they're not rushing there because they're not hungry for it. The same way that women aren't hungry to get laid to go to clubs, even though they show up for attention and to dance and stuff. And once in a while, you ask somebody to show up. But in most cases, men are like, what is it? What's the thing of value that place is offering me? Women look at a club and think a bunch of dudes who are trying to get laid. Maybe if I'm going to go with my friends and tease them and have fun. And then men think single event, a bunch of women who are going to reject me because they think they may be better than me, one, or I know for a fact that these chicks really don't bring me peace, even if I believe I can bag these chicks. It's not just guys who struggle with game and women who don't show up. Most men have looked at women today, don't approach, and have looked at the dating market and have thought, it's going to take a lot. Now, that also means another thing. It also means for the type of woman who actually does embrace her femininity, who actually does drink coffee, who actually is more open, who is pleasant to be around, who doesn't think delusionally, then you stand out even more.